Good morning, dear students. Welcome back to the virtual classroom. Greetings to you. Hope you are all doing well. Last class, we were discussing about structure of a C++ program. And I stopped at declaration statements. So we will be continuing from declaration part. To re-emphasize, I got the structure of C++ program here, preprocessor directive. We know we are going to use the header files as well as the symbolic constants in preprocessor directives. Then we have global declaration, void main. Void says that a function will not be returning any value to any other function. Likewise, we have the declaration part. The declaration part will be to reserve memory space. We will be using few variables within the program. These variables will be storing values, and these values are supposed to be stored in the memory, and we need to know how many bytes we are going to occupy in the memory. So this part tells us that we will be declaring the number of variables what we require within the program. In this context, let me focus on the example what we have. This is the function prototype at the declaration part. As per our example, last class I wanted to speak about void comparing with the sub function here. Void will not return any value, and here there is a sub function for us which will be returning an integer value. Based on that, I had taken a sub function for us to make a comparison. So here, whenever we use sub function, we will be writing its prototype. That is, before using any function, we need to declare it. That is called as the function prototype. So I have written the function prototype here. If you see the function prototype as well as the function header, both resembles. We have the return type specifier, here also return type specifier. We have add, that is the function name, and there too you find the function name. Here the two arguments what we are going to establish, here too we have the two arguments, int x and int y. Focusing at the declaration part, we have three variables. So for our discussion, we will move on to this ABC. A takes 2 bytes, B takes 2 bytes, C takes 2 bytes. Last class I discussed about the data types being int, char, float and double, the fundamental data types, and each takes the number of bytes. This is what I said. So once again to re-emphasize, int 2 bytes, char 1 byte, float 4 bytes, and then double 8 bytes. When 4 bytes for float is not sufficient, we will be using double, which is 8 bytes. Likewise, we have a modifier for int which is called as long, which will be taking 4 bytes. When 2 bytes is not sufficient for int, we will be having 4 bytes. These data types will be used in the declaration part, because when we want to reserve memory space, we should be knowing what is the allotment of memory, or what is the allocation done in a memory. In this program, ABC has been declared, and A will be having 2 bytes, B will be having 2 bytes, C will be having 2 bytes. Likewise, let us focus on the memory representation, how a memory could be represented. This memory we will imagine as a table, and there are cells here in the memory. Each cell will be 1 byte. When we take 1 byte here, this 1 byte I would like to explain on 3 parts: name, value and address. The 3 things what we have for 1 byte. Now when we declare ABC, A takes 2 bytes, so 2 bytes are allocated. So 2 bytes are allocated in a random order. 2 bytes for A here, maybe B here, maybe C here. It's in a random order, because next we are going to discuss about an array. but array will be a contiguous memory location. Here normal variables are there being declared, so it will be taking in a random order. Let me take one of it, that is A. A is the name of the memory location, and then value is 5, addressing. I said each cell has got one address. Likewise, here for A, 2 bytes are allocated, then 2 addressing should be there. 6501, and then we have 6502. In case of float, 4 bytes, then 4 addressing will be there. Likewise here, for our example, we have taken ABC, so each will be having 2 bytes and 2 addressing will be there for each. A, 2 addressing, B, 2 addressing, C, 2 addressing. That is 3 parts I have told you. Name, A, and then the value what we have is the 5, and the address is 6501 and 6502. Always the first address will be considered. The second address will not be considered. When we work at the memory level, we will be using the first address only. Further moving, when we have the next part of the statements here in the structure of C++ program, we have the executable statements. Apart from declaration statement, we have executable statements. The executable statements will be from CLR SCR onwards. So we have CLR SCR. We know that CLR SCR's definition is there in Conevo.h, as I said before about pre-processing. And after that, we have cout, enter 2 numbers. 2 numbers are going to be considered. A, let us imagine A is going to take 5 and B is going to take 10. Likewise, C equals add of A comma B. A will be taking 5 and B will be taking 10, and there is a function call made. When you make a function call, we need to use the function name as well as the arguments which are supposed to be passed. Now here, add is a subfunction which will be called. That is, main is calling add, this will be the calling, and the subfunction will be the called. So main is calling add, the line where it is called will be the function call statement. A takes the value, gives it to x, that is A's value is 5, x value is also 5. Likewise, B is 10 and it will be passed on to y, and y's value will be 10. Likewise, the program continues to execute, that is z, then z equals 5 plus 10. As I said, x equals 5 and then y equals 10. The answer for z will be 15, and it is going to return back the answer to the same point where it left from the calling to the called. When it comes back, when the control comes back, it comes to the same point where it left, and the value will be assigned to C. So this program is an example based on for our structure of a C++ program. Next, we move on to arrays. Array is a derived data type. It is a collection of elements or group of elements of the same data type, but under one single name. I would like to repeat, array is a derived data type, collection of elements or group of elements of the same data type under one single name. For us, when we look at array, we would like to compare with a normal variable, because a normal variable int a equals 5, it is going to take just one value. A single variable can have only one value. Now, if at all we want to have more than one value, what we need to do? That's the reason we have an array. So I would like to go for the declaration part. Before that, the syntax goes like this. Syntax will be data underscore type, then we have array underscore name. After that, there is a square bracket, and then we write the size there. To this syntax, I would like to go for the example. That is, int a is the array name, int is the data type, then size I would like to take 5. That is, when I said the definition group of elements, that means group of elements when the array contains, here the group size is 5. So size denotes the number of elements what an array can have. Here I would like to take few elements, I call as elements. So the elements will be 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. You can take any other elements also according to your need. Now when we access the array elements, we will be accessing according to its subscript. There is a concept with us to access the elements of an array, that is index, or it is also called as subscript. When any elements are supposed to be accessed, we take the indexing value beginning from 0. 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. If you see the last indexing value, it will be 1 less than the size. That is, the size is 5, 1 less than will be the indexing value 4. 5 minus 1 is 4. So always the indexing begins with 0, or you also can call as a serial number what you give, but here we don't call as serial number, rather we are going to say as index or subscript. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When I want to access any element in an array, I will be using the array name A as it is, square bracket. Then inside this, I am going to write the indexing value. For example, I would like to access 3. I will be taking 3 here. That is 40. 40 is the element we are going to access, and I will be using A of 3. 3 is the indexing value. Likewise, if I want to take 20 or access 20, I will be taking as A of 1. While accessing the array, we will be using for loop, because we will be storing elements in a sequential order beginning from 0 and ends with size minus 1. Hence, array also needs to work with a for loop. For I equals 0, we don't take from 1 because 0 is the first index and we take I equals 0 and as the initial value. I less than 5. For our example, 5 has been taken as the size here, and the same limit I have taken, because less than 5 will be 4. We will be ending exactly to the last index and then I plus plus. Here I am going to say C in A of I. I's value will be 0. 0 less than 5, it enters A of 0, first element. 10 will be stored. Next, I increments to 1. 1 less than 5. Next, A of 1. A of 1 will be 20. Then moves on. I's value as 2. 2 less than 5. A of 2, 30. So here, A of 0 will be having 10. A of 1 is 20. A of 2 is 30. Likewise, when we move on to the next one, it is I's value is 3, 3 less than 5 will be 40. So A of 3 will be having 40. Likewise, I updates 4 less than 5. True enters A of 4 will be 50, and then A of 4 contains 50 here. It moves on again. I increments, I becomes 5. 5 less than 5 is false. It comes out of the loop. Whenever we work on an array, we may think that why do we need to take for loop? Let me take otherwise. Since 5 elements we are going to take in an array, let me use 5 statements, C in statements. A of 0, C in operator A of 0, C in operator A of 1, likewise C in A of 2, then C in A of 3, then C in A of 4. You know that the last index ends with 4, we don't have 5, so I end up here. This is another way of working in an array, but only for 5 elements you can go on. But when we are working on an array with 50 elements, 100 elements, we cannot write 50 scene statements or 100 scene statements. Rather, we will be using for loop and we repeat that for loop with cin to accept the elements in an array for 50 number of times or 100 number of times or n number of times. So usually the size will be n and we will be working according to n number of times. This will be with respect to the array, and there are three types of array. One is one dimensional array, second one is two dimensional array, third one is multi-dimensional array. So according to the example I have taken only one dimensional array. One dimensional array will be having only one subscript, that is only one pair of square brackets, whereas two dimensional array, that is I'm going to write here int a of 2 of 3. So two dimensions are here. 2 will be for the row and 3 will be for the column, as we discussed in the first year. 2 rows, 3 columns. So first index will be for the row and the second index will be for the column. Likewise, when I take in an order of a matrix, then 0, 1, this will be for the 2 rows. Index beginning with 0 for the row and ending with 1, because 2 rows, the size is 2. Likewise, for column, the size being 3, we take 0, 1, then 2. 2 is the size for 2 will be the indexing for the column. Whenever we would like to place values 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, these are the elements for a two-dimensional array. And when we access, for example, 15 I would like to access, I need to say a of 0, 0th index and the second index for the column. That is 0th index of row and the second index of column. This is how we are going to access 15. Whenever we want to access any elements in a two-dimensional array, we will be using the array name, the first subscript as well as the second subscript. The first subscript indicates the row and the second subscript indicates the column. By using these two only, we can access the elements of a two-dimensional array. The next topic we will be discussing will be structure. Structure is a user-defined data type, and it is a collection of different variables of different data types. I would like to repeat. Structure is a user-defined data type, and it is a collection of different variables of different data type. So when we are using structure, we will be using the structure concept for a record. For example, I would like to take an employee record. Employee ID, employee name, employee designation, salary, and so on. A record of an employee. Likewise, for a student, I could take as student register number, student name, student class, student combination, and the fees. So here, since structure is going to take different types of data values, we will be calling these data values as members. So the syntax for this structure will be struct is the keyword which we'll be using to say we are going to have the definitions of members. Then there is a structure name. After that, we have an opening of flower bracket. Here we are going to define the members. So the members for the syntax will be data underscore type member, data underscore type member underscore name 1 semicolon. Likewise, data underscore type member underscore name 2, and so on. Data underscore type member underscore name n. That is, these are the members of the structure. We have defined few members in the syntax part. We will be taking an example. After that, in the syntax we have semicolon here. After that we can declare the structure variables. Here comes the structure variables. For that, once again I'm going to use struct, then the structure name, and then the structure variables. Variable 1, comma variable 2, comma variable 3, and so on, semicolon. So this will be the syntax for a structure. When you focus on this part, this will be called for us as the definition of a structure, and this part will be called as the declaration of the structure. In the definition section of the structure, we have the members being defined. Likewise, in the variable part of a structure, we call this as declaration of a structure, and we'll be declaring the variables. This is how the two parts what we have in the structure. And whenever we declare the variables of a structure, there should be definition compulsorily. Without definition, memory allocation will not be done. Let us move on to an example. Struct, I say, then I take a student record as an example. So student is the name of the structure. Then int register number. Please follow carefully. Data type member name 1. These are the members, and here I'm going to write the members of different data type. So int register underscore name, register underscore number, then char name of 25. Previously we discussed about an array. I am taking a character array. Character array, when we are going to store, we are going to use as a string also. That is, a string is a sequence of characters enclosed within double quotes. So whenever we are going to have a string, we will be using a character data type. A string variable name will be name. Then we have char class to store as which class the student belong to. Then char combination, COMB I'll take as 6 here. Then float fees. If you look at the members here, there are different data types. The different variables are defined here. Int register number, then comes char, then comes float. All different data types. So this will be the definition part. Next, when I move on, I need to go for the keyword struct, then the structure name here is student, I take as student, then the variable will be std1. I'd like to take one more variable, std2. Likewise one more, std3. That is 3 variables I got. We can take n number of variables because in a classroom there will be more than 3, or we could say 50 or 100 students in a classroom. That point of time we may not be using single variables, rather we'll be using structure array. So then we need to use an array here in place of structure variable. Next, we will be accessing the members of a structure. While accessing the members of a structure, we need to know the syntax part for that. We will be using the variable of a structure, that is std1. I have taken the first variable. Next we will move on to std2 and std3. std1, then there is a dot. This dot operator is also called as an access operator, and this operator you should not be forgetting because the same operator will be using in classes and objects. std1 dot, then there is a register number. Register number equals 650. Likewise, when I move on to store the value for as a name, std1 dot name equals, I'll take as Suresh. Then std1 dot class, I take as first PUC. Since you are in second PUC, let me take as second PUC. std1 dot combination, I take the variable as COMB for combination, equals PCMC. If BASC students are watching, you can write BASC if you want. So all these are coming under the double quotes because it's a string. A string is a sequence of characters enclosed within double quotes. That's how we have the character array taking characters, sequence of characters. And the last one I take as fees here. The fees will be, let me take 5,500. Just a reference value I have taken, 5,500.00, because we have float. Float means we are going to have decimal point also. This acts like a template for the structure. When this is a template, we will be using this template for std1 separately. Likewise, std2 separately. Then std3 separately. std1 contains the whole members for std1. std2 contains these whole member. Likewise, std3. Without declaring the variables, memory allocation cannot be done. So if you count the memory allocation here, 2 bytes for int, likewise 25 bytes for character, 10 bytes for character, and then 6 bytes for character again, and float fees 4 bytes. Let us count. This is 2, this is 25, so 25 plus 2, 27, and then 10, 27 plus 10, 37, then we have 6, 37 plus 6 is 43, and then 4 bytes, 43 plus 4 will be 47. 47 bytes of memory allocation is done for std1. Likewise, 47 bytes for std2 as well as 47 bytes for std3. I would like to reiterate, the memory allocation will be done only when the variables of a structure will be declared, because if at all we are going to add one more variable, and allocation will be done for another 47 bytes. Hence, the memory allocation is depending on the variables. As I said before, std1 dot register number, likewise we can use std2 dot register number. So a template is created separately for std1, likewise std2 as well as std3. The corresponding members for std2 or std3 will be taken into consideration, and we are going to store the value. This is the concept of a structure, because this will be the bridging point for us to work on classes and objects, because as I said, this dot operator is an access operator where we will be using object and then dot and then member function in a class. So go through this, please do write down, and from here we'll continue with classes and objects. Today's class, what we did, just to revisit, we started with the declaration part from the structure of a C++ program. Then I spoke to you about the memory representation, how memory getting allocated, and this memory allocation is very important because without reserving memory space, we cannot store values for the program to be used. As well as in the executable statements, I spoke to you about the control flow, how the control is flowing from one end to another end. Then we spoke about arrays. Array is a derived data type, and it is a collection of elements of the same data type under one single name. Said so, I would like to compare with a single variable, int a equals 5. One normal variable, we need only one value, that is a has got only one value, and a normal variable can store only one value. Likewise, an array can store group of elements of the same data type, but when you look at structure can store different data type. Like how we have a normal declaration here, the same way normal declarations have been done, but these are all will be the members, and these members will be defined under the definition section. Likewise, we need the variable. So the three things what we have here, a single variable can have one value, it cannot have more than one value, hence array was brought into picture. Array can have group of elements but of the same data type, it cannot be mixed with the data types. When you say int, it will be an integer array only. Likewise, when we move on to structure, we have different data types and different data variables. Could be a normal variable, could be a array as the members of a structure. So here we end with the revision classes of the first year, because this will be a bridging unit for you to work on the second year. And if you are stronger enough from whatever we did from the beginning of the class, from class 1 onwards, so please learn properly, go back to those classes, learn, and then it will be easy for us. Next we will be discussing about the second PUC syllabus, and we begin with the class, because this will be the continuity for the class for us. So we are going to discuss about class and objects from the next class. So dear students, please study well, be safe at home, God bless you.